So the noise you're hearing is my machine. Maybe turn it off. Oxygen thing. It is March 9th, 2020, and I have just gotten back not long ago from infusion, and I just took a chemo pill and all that stuff. But I thought I would do another memory video because I think it's important, and I don't feel like typing to write it all down. So I kind of want to talk about my dad and kind of where that story starts, and you know, my last name, his last name legally is Panzone or Panzone. Panzone is a Sicilian name. It is two words put together as pan and zone, split, so it means fat man. I'd rather that than some of the other names I've seen, I'll be honest, because it's kind of cool when you don't know what it translates to, but that is not his biological name, his family. He was adopted. His father was a U.S. soldier named Darrell Heffelfinger, and his mother was Christina Roos, and she was from the Netherlands. And when they got together, they had a very tumultuous relationship. She had a lot of postpartum depression. He was abusive. He did have a head injury after World War II, and so he was not the best spouse in that time. There was a lot of violence. They've had two batches of children. The first two, Carl and Kenny, two boys they had, came to the United States, and they were abandoned or left to social services, basically. I'm not sure exactly how they were abandoned, but Christina runs back to the Netherlands, and he eventually came to his senses and went back after her, I'm sorry or whatever, and groveled, and then she let him back in. Then Aunt Carol was born, and then my dad was born in 1959 in Heidelberg, and I think Aunt Carol was born in Worms, both in Germany. When they came to the United States, it was 1960, 61 or 62. I think it might have been 61 because he was a toddler. There was another knockdown drag out. His father ditched them. They were at a hotel, and his mother decided they had a better chance in America, and so she left her children in the hotel room, got on a plane, went home. She left. My dad and my Aunt Carol were put in foster care. It was a horrible, abusive situation. Aunt Carol had issues after her pregnancies and stuff in her life, and had like shock treatments and stuff for mental things that honestly she was justified in having. My dad, as young as he was, he remembers the foster parents burning her with cigarettes, starving them. He remembers her jumping in front of him for beatings. And he was tiny, and he remembers those things. His first memories are horrific, or they were when he was still here. And I didn't know that until later. And I didn't know he was adopted until I was 17, so I went through an identity crisis. But now he also has, it's wonderful, his mother had another child when she returned with, we thought, with the same father. Maybe she left when she was pregnant. Maybe she was pregnant when she left, but she wasn't. We found out later. So they're half siblings. So Aunt Ava is his half sister, and he has a half brother and sister through his biological father in Arizona, I believe, or at least they were, Tina and Daryl Jr. So that is the beginning of that. And as far as Nanny and Pappy Panzone, Nanny couldn't have children, and she never really disclosed if they figured it out. I doubt it, because we're talking 1940s, 1950s, so I doubt it that they really knew exactly what was going on. but I don't know. But she could not have children, and they wanted a house full of children. So when they went to adopt a child, they ended up with two, and it was exciting for them. And Dad told me that the first Christmas they had together after they were adopted, when the kids came home, my Aunt Carol spoke German. And so did Dad, because he that's who he talked to. That's who he was with all the time. They didn't know how to speak English. So they had a language barrier, which eventually worked its way out. Kids are resilient like that. And that first Christmas, they got tons of toys. It was exciting because it was the first time that they could share something with their children, and they didn't know what to do with it. And my grandmother, Nanny, called my namesake, her mother, which is Christina Bracco, called her in tears and crying. She said, I don't know what to do. I can't get them to understand. So they went through challenges. They went through more challenges than that, obviously, in life, but they went through challenges. With that first Christmas was hard, and eventually they figured it out. And you don't even hear, when they were alive, you couldn't even hear an accent or anything in their voices. They completely, it's just like it went away. So yeah, that's how his life began. And it is incredible. And let me just be totally blunt and clear. I absolutely adore my aunts and uncles that he's found. I mean, they're wonderful people. And of course, I've always known my Aunt Carol. And when she died, it ripped my heart out. It really did. I sobbed so freaking loud. I embarrassed myself, but when she died. But I have to say, I am grateful for them, but I will always eternally be grateful to my grandparents, because not only did they choose my dad and my aunt, but they loved them unconditionally and us unconditionally, and didn't even tell us. Dad did not want us to know until he had to help his sister was going to be deported. I don't exactly know how INS got information about her, but she lost her Social Security benefits, and they were going to deport her to Germany, and he had to prove that their father was an American. And then he decided to be honest, because then he knew, honestly, that Aunt Carol's kids, Anthony and Priscilla, would have known too. And as soon as Anthony and Priscilla would know, we would know. So he had to tell us the truth. And it took me a while to realize that, biology does not make me who I am, that I am a Panzone, and it is a part of me. And so I identify as basically a Sicilian American, and I always have. So, and I am grateful, because who wants to learn how to spell the name Heffelfinger as a kid? Oh my God. No thanks. I think I'll pass. Just saying. I'm glad. It all worked out for a reason, and so I'm really fortunate, and it's just great. It's a part of who he is, and that makes it a part of us too. So there you go. There's the story of the beginning.